You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. One thing that they really piss me off, these media people really piss me off. They have media people come on television and say, oh, she was dry, or this is really boring. Politico actually sent out a tweet. My girl Soledad blasted them. They made some kind of point is, were anything today be clippable? So essentially, is anything going to be said today that can go viral? Amisha, this is the Constitution. This is abuse of power by a person sitting in the Oval Office. These media people are acting like this is Love and Hip Hop.
100%, Roland. I think that part of this is because obviously they are trying to, they're in a ratings battle. And at any point when somebody says something that they can get to go viral or something that they can easily put in a snippet, turn it into a GIF, make it a meme, this is going to be a great thing and everybody's going to be talking about it for the next few days. When you have career professionals that are largely professorial, most of what they're going to give you from a legal standpoint, from an academic standpoint, is not going to be something that is Real Housewives of Atlanta level excitement. But to your point, what was done today and what has been done over the course of this time has been painting the picture of what this president actually did, painting the picture from start to finish about why this is wrong, about the legality issues surrounding it, about how this affects our democracy. And I think that they laid that out well. To have media professionals who have argued time and time again that we should follow this because of the constitutional implications of this presidency, to say basically, they couldn't find anything, or, there wasn't anything clippable, or there wasn't anything they could really tweet about, that's a problem. Because the whole point wasn't to get you a viral moment. That's not the point of this impeachment process at all. That's not the point of these hearings. It's, again, so that the public would be able to see a lot of the conversation that has been happening behind the scenes, that has been happening behind closed doors, so that there would be a stronger understanding of the impeachable conduct that this president has done.
That, to me, Robert, is what is a joke from when media people go, this is just so boring. Okay, first of all, I've seen a number of congressional hearings. They're not exciting, okay? It's a bunch of people sitting behind microphones. There's a table in front. A witness is sitting there, typically reading testimony, asking questions, and really what you're watching is the grandstanding of members of Congress, okay? But this is not exciting. It's actually sobering when you talk about going through the process of impeaching a president when it has only happened 3 times in the history of the country.
Well, let's understand. This is why Trump wins. This is why Trump is winning. This is why Trump will win. Trump has mastered the media. Trump understands that impeachment is a hybrid process. It's a hybrid process between the legal and the political. So you have the legal aspects of it, in which case he's dead to rights. So this is going to a magistrate judge somewhere, and you didn't have to worry about public opinion, then yeah, this will be over by Friday afternoon. But the fact that this is dependent upon public officials, this is dependent upon public opinion. Trump, if you notice, his defenders are not defending the legal aspects of it. They're not arguing that he didn't make the phone call. They're not arguing he did not request the assistance from Zelensky. They're not even arguing that he didn't break the law. They're saying, but does it matter? And the best way to fight that is to throw enough spaghetti up, throw out enough chaff, throw out enough flack that people can't concentrate on the actual issue, and you wait for the holiday season to hit, people stop paying attention to it, and then you can move on to the next subject and say this is all part of the witch hunt, all part of the hoax. This is what Trump does so well, and Democrats haven't figured out how to combat it yet.
But the thing here, Kelly, is one, if you fall for the okie doke, where you chase that rabbit down that hole, that's exactly what happens. Democrats, and I think people are also making a mistake here, and people say, this is just completely helping Trump. I disagree, because what you also have to do is continuously say case after case after case. And all of a sudden, using folks' own words. You got Mick Mulvaney, who went to the microphone, who came, it was a quid pro quo. Oh, no, I didn't really mean that. No, we know exactly what you said.
He said everybody does it.
Right. When you see what's happening now with the folks who were indicted, who were associates of Rudy Giuliani, and now saying we have tapes, things we're gonna turn over as well, that thing begins to build. The problem I have is when you have the gatekeepers who then say, before there's a single testimony, this is boring, okay, I'm being put to sleep, okay, whatever. So in essence, they are amplifying the exact thing that Trump wants them to say.
And not only are they amplifying it, frankly, they're just not doing their job. Not nearly as effectively as they could be. Because if you're talking about a soundbite or something that's not exciting, well, one, exciting is relative. Because when I was watching the hearings, I wasn't necessarily, wowed, but I was fascinated because this was the first time in the 2 months that they've been doing these hearings and testimony and all these things that we actually have a map as to exactly why we are in this process right now. You have 4 professors who, by the way, the Republican witness for this committee, I can't remember his name, but he's from
Jonathan Turley.
Turley. Nobody, him included, are Trump supporters. And yet all of them were there, whether they were on one side of the aisle or not, to defend the Constitution. And why this inquiry was in place. They broke it down.
But Kelly, let's just be clear. On the Republican side, when Trump said, I can kill somebody on Fifth Avenue and my supporters won't care, the Republican Party essentially saying, you're absolutely right.
And that's,
there is nothing
that they know.
This man, hold on, I want Kelly to respond. There's nothing this man has done where they finally said, okay, you know what? That's enough. They are, the entire Republican Congress are afraid of a tweet. They are afraid of being trolled by Trump.
Because they know that their constituents are following Trump and not, the people who they voted for.
You know what? I disagree. I just really believe, I think that they are so weak. I think they're so weak. As long as he don't tweet about me. So,
well, they don't want
and so
him
for them to say things privately, and then to go out there and say the opposite.
Well, they don't want anything in the public to, put them.
It's laughable.
It's laughable, but it's because they want to be reelected.
This is the party that has tried to consistently stake itself as the constitutionalist.
Right.
Hardcore. And at the end
law
of the day,
and order, morals, values, principles, the founding fathers, the original intent of the doc.
All of it flies out the window with this presidency.
Let me get nerdy for a second. That was actually the most interesting thing from the hearing today.
Thank you.
Jonathan Turley's testimony, where most Republicans consider Scalia to be the gold standard of judges, of Supreme Court jurists. And Scalia was always an original intentist who believed that we need to go back to what the founders believed in when they wrote the Constitution. Turley argued the exact opposite today, saying that we should take a 2019 interpretation of what bribery is, basically saying, well, the president can do a little bit of bribery. Like, he can do some bribery, but bribery.
But here's what was funny. I'm going to bring up Congresswoman Karen Bass right now, California, chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. Congresswoman, it was so hilarious to sit there and watch Jonathan Turley say, oh, no, the president hasn't committed, a crime, anything like that. This is the same dude who actually argued this. This is the same guy who argued this when Bill Clinton was going through impeachment hearings. Y'all go to my iPad.
No matter how you feel about President Clinton, and I don't dislike President Clinton, I voted for President Clinton. But no matter how you feel about President Clinton, no matter how you feel about the independent counsel, by his own conduct, he has deprived himself of the perceived legitimacy to govern. You need both political and legal legitimacy to govern this nation, because the president must be able to demand an absolute sacrifice from the public at a moment's notice. And when there's a question of legitimacy, it has to be resolved in a way that it doesn't divide what Franklin referred to as irregular actions.
To me, Congressman Karen Bass shows how laughable the Republicans who are defending Trump, They literally are saying the opposite of what they said when Bill Clinton was going through the same thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw it, and I was surprised, frankly, that the witness that they chose was so weak. It was pretty amazing. I thought our witnesses were very strong. I thought Professor Kaplan was amazing. She didn't take any crap from the Republicans. She pushed back and made her stand very, very strong. So I just don't at this point understand what leg they have to stand on.
And Michael Gerhardt, you talked about one of those constitutional law professors. This is what he said, and I think it was so on point because it is what many of us have been saying, is that you cannot let a thug keep being a thug and somehow think he's going to turn into Prince Charming. This is what he had to say.
If left unchecked, the president will likely continue his pattern of soliciting foreign interference on behalf of the next election, and of course, his obstruction of Congress. The fact that we can easily transpose the articles of impeachment against President Nixon onto the actions of this president speaks volumes, and that does not even include the most serious national security concerns and election interference concerns at the heart of this president's misconduct. No misconduct is more antithetical to our democracy, and nothing injures the American people more than a president who uses his power to weaken their authority under the Constitution, as well as the authority of the Constitution itself. May I read one more sentence, or I'm sorry.
The witness may have another sentence or two.
Thank you. If Congress fails to impeach here, then the impeachment process has lost all meaning. And along with that, our Constitution's carefully crafted safeguards against the establishment of a king on American soil. And therefore, I stand with the Constitution, and I stand with the framers who were committed to ensure that no one is above the law.
And that is the fundamental issue, Congresswoman Bass. Donald Trump has actually said, I can do whatever I want.
Exactly, because he has never understood the office that he was elected to. And to me, the thing that is so serious and so urgent about what we face right now is that this guy, we know that he interfered in the last election, but we have got to do everything we can to protect the next election. You know how we're all concerned about voter suppression? We're concerned about whether the Russians are going to intervene. Well, this guy has essentially attempted to intervene through using the threat to another country who is literally at war. We're going to withhold military aid from them until he investigates my opponent. So our next election is the election that's under threat, and that creates the urgency and the need to impeach him as fast as possible. Now, we need to have a thorough process. We need to have a transparent process. It needs to be completely inclusive, as it was. You saw the Republicans. They really didn't have a leg to stand on, which is why what they attempted to talk about was process. And you know very well, Roland, it doesn't matter what we do, they still object. So they didn't like the depositions. They wanted it to be open. They wanted us to take a vote. They wanted the transcripts. They've gotten all of that. And so they continue to argue process because they have no content.
Congresswoman Karen Bass, we appreciate it. We'll be watching these hearings further. And unlike some of the folks in the media, I don't find them boring than those of us who actually cared about the government classes when we were in school, unlike some other folks.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. One of the folks who also who has gotten a lot of attention is Professor Pamela Karlan. I do want to play a bit for you of what she had to say. And I thought probably out of all of them, she probably was the strongest.
Absolutely.
But also what jumped out again, for those who didn't pay attention, this woman who said, I've represented this committee under a Republican chair and a Democratic chair. She talked about Sensenbrenner from Wisconsin, who was sitting there on the dais. She also represented the committee when the late Congressman John Conyers was the chair of this committee. This, of course, is Professor Pamela Karlan in today's hearing.
As President John Kennedy declared, the right to vote in a free American election is the most powerful and precious right in the world. But our elections become less free when they are distorted by foreign interference. What happened in 2016 was bad enough, There is widespread agreement that Russian operatives intervened to manipulate our political process. But that distortion is magnified if a sitting president abuses the powers of his office actually to invite foreign intervention. To see why, imagine living in a part of Louisiana or Texas that's prone to devastating hurricanes and flooding. What would you think if you lived there and your governor asked for a meeting with the president to discuss getting disaster aid that Congress has provided for? What would you think if that president said, I would like you to do us a favor. I'll meet with you and I'll send the disaster relief once you brand my opponent a criminal? Wouldn't you know in your gut that such a president had abused his office, that he'd betrayed the national interest, and that he was trying to corrupt the electoral process? I believe that the evidentiary record shows wrongful acts on that scale here. It shows a president who delayed meeting a foreign leader and providing assistance that Congress and his own advisors agreed serves our national interest in promoting democracy and in limiting Russian aggression. Saying, Russia, if you're listening, you know, a president who cared about the Constitution would say, Russia, if you're listening, butt out of our elections. And it shows a president who did this to strong-arm a foreign leader into smearing one of the president's opponents in our ongoing election season. That's not politics as usual, at least not in the United States or not in any mature democracy. It is instead a cardinal reason why the Constitution contains an impeachment power. Put simply, a president should resist foreign interference in our elections, not demand it and not welcome it. If we are to keep faith with our Constitution and with our republic, President Trump must be held to account. Thank you.
Here's the issue, Robert, that is very simple. If the Democrats do nothing, Donald Trump, well, I can keep doing whatever the hell I want. So the question then has to be, so what the hell do you do? Because he does, there are no boundaries for Donald Trump. There's no bottom. It's not like, okay, you know what? I think we've crossed the line. No, it doesn't exist for him. He believes in his mind, because he has actually said it. They've told me I can do whatever I want to do. I can't be criminally investigated. I can't be indicted. You can't interview me. Congress, we're going to ignore every subpoena you bring. I'm going to give blanket immunity to people who, he tried to give immunity to Corey Lewandowski, who did not even work in the administration. So if he is clearly saying, even when Congress needs to investigate, he goes, nah, forget that. He believes Congress has no authority to question anything that I do.
The thing about Trump that you have to remember is he's a habitual line stepper.
And liar.
So wherever you lay the line at, he's going to push it further, and Democrats have not figured out how to push back against that. That even with the entire impeachment process, they haven't developed an elevator pitch. There's not a 10-second pitch that you can tell your barber where he understands exactly what this impeachment process is about.
No, actually they have.
But that's what Trump is depending on.
But they have done that.
But that's why we haven't seen public opinion move. Public opinion has gone down for impeachment since the process has begun.
See, here's why I think where public opinion is. The reality is, when they survey people, they're surveying Democrats and Republicans. The reality is, Republicans are operating in lockstep with Donald Trump. That's where they are. Their deal is, sorry, not going there. But let's also be mindful. This is the fourth time in history. In all four times, no president was convicted. Mm-hmm. Johnson was impeached. Mm-hmm. And that's also part of the other issue here, Misha. Let's just cut to the chase. It's a lot of dumbass Americans, okay? No, because when we hear impeachment, people think, oh, he's going to get impeached and thrown out. No, impeachment happens in the House. That's essentially an indictment. The trial happens in the Senate. That's the real deal. So part of the deal here is language. Can Donald Trump be impeached? Yes. Johnson was impeached. Bill Clinton was impeached. Nixon resigned before he got impeached. But will they get convicted and removed? That's the issue. And no president, the two times it happened before, were actually removed. Johnson was saved by one vote.
I think that is a massive part of it, people not understanding how the impeachment process works, but which I would say is a failure in our education system in general. But the other part of it, I would argue, is that in this case, this is a national security and international affairs issue. Yes, it goes back to the fidelity of our elections, but you holding a basic carrot for Ukraine and agreeing that you're going to withhold funds to them when they're actively at war and people are dying every day. I think that for the American people, in a lot of these other previous impeachment inquiries and conversations, it was easier to wrap your head around. It was easy for people to wrap their head around Bill Clinton and a salacious sex tale. It is a lot more difficult for people to understand the breadth and why this is important when it comes to the constitutionality and that function, in addition to the fact that we have a president who literally was arguing to withhold funds to get what he wanted, to lead into an investigation, not actually even have an investigation happen, but to have President Zelensky of the Ukraine step on a podium with announce to CNN that he was going to have Biden investigated, by and large, just because he wanted to shrink his gains in the polls, period. And I think that the American public has to understand that. Does that go through the entirety of the impeachment hearings? Will people follow them? I have no... I don't think that Americans are going to watch every single bit of these impeachment hearings. I don't think anybody believes that. But I do hope that there is an understanding of the longevity and the brevity of what this president has done, and that if he gets away with it, there is no stopping him.
Kelly, and I will say this here, and this is also what I think is at play here. And that is, when you talk about, so let's just be clear. So when the framers wrote this, they weren't talking about the four of us. Okay? They were talking about white people. Okay? So we wasn't even in the conversation.
White men specifically.
We were not in the conversation.
And only white men.
Right.
But this is what I believe the framers thought. I believe they thought that, first of all, you look at how the House and the Senate were constructed. The House was called the People's Chamber. Of course, and the Senate was written to be the more esteemed
Lords.
Body that actually had a brain, and the crazy people in the House. That's pretty much how they wrote it. What I don't believe the expectation was that you would have individuals in one party who would truly put party over country. I believe that you had a situation where you had a belief that somebody would say, forget Democrat, Republican, Whig, whatever the parties were. You should be acting in a way, the way a president should act. What you have here, Kelly, are Republicans who are defending lies, who are defending stuff that they know it's false, who are sitting in this hearing waving, but the transcript, when it's not even a transcript. You're hearing people say, we don't have all the facts. And you got a guy who said to the chief of staff, you ain't testifying. Bo, you ain't testifying. Say it to Sondland, you ain't testifying. Praised him, but then when he did testify, said, I ain't know who the hell he is. And so you've all of these going. I don't think they expected folks to truly say, yeah, we're just going to ignore all of that. Damn the country, damn facts, damn principles, damn values, damn morals, and we're just going to protect the thug at all costs.
I also don't think that they anticipated the leader of the country disregarding the branches of government. So
completely disregard.
Completely disregard. So the whole intent of the Constitution even coming into existence was to avoid a monarchy. They split up the power so that everything could be even and respected. That is key, because it can't be separated unless it's respected. So they expected the president to respect the other two branches of government. They expected the legislature to respect the other two branches of government, and so on and so forth. What's happening right now is that, frankly, nobody is respecting anybody. You have Republicans not even respecting the president, just in lockstep with him for fear of not being reelected by the base. You have Democrats who, like Robert was saying earlier, don't have a pitch regarding this impeachment process that could actually garner the American public together and actually give them an understanding as to not only why this is important, but why they should support it.
Robert, I would love to see the next Democratic president say, y'all can kiss my ass. I'm going to do what Trump did. I just want to play back all these comments.
But people are playing back the comments from 1998 of Democrats saying the exact opposite thing during that impeachment hearing. This all moral relativism when it comes down to it. People to this day think Bill Clinton was impeached because he got oral sex in the White House.
No.
He did not. He got impeached because he lied to Congress.
He lied.
Committed a criminal act. The Constitution literally says high crimes or misdemeanors. They are setting a range. Hamilton lays it out in Federal 65. As in, nobody is above the law in any way, shape, or form. That's why
it is a political process.
Yes,
so all this criminal stuff.
It's always a political process.
But hold on. When they say, now we keep hearing about, is this an impeachable offense? That is a very dumb argument that everybody's making because people are dumb. They have to understand when they say high crimes or misdemeanors, they're setting a range. If the president steals a candy bar, that's a misdemeanor offense. That is an impeachable offense. They are letting the president of the United States know, regardless of your position, there is absolutely no law that you are above. So when you have this argument about whether or not it's an impeachable offense, everything's an impeachable offense if it's criminal at all.
They allowed Congress to determine what the offense is.
Right.
So when you hear Republicans say, there's nothing criminal here,
We're not talking about
the Constitution don't say a damn thing about criminal.
But hold on, even on that point, 52 U.S.C. 30121 subsection A2, it is illegal to solicit a foreign national for a thing of value. That is illegal. When the president gets on stage and says, Russia, if you're listening, please find Hillary's email.
That is a solicitation.
That's a solicitation of a foreign...
That's all
No, Robert, they said he was joking.
When he says Ukraine and China, they should launch a major investigation into Biden. That is a solicitation of a foreign national.
But they said he was joking.
Solicitation does not matter about intent. If you pull up to a hooker right now,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm soliciting you.
I
was joking. My bad.
Just because you didn't get none.
The solicitation itself,
precisely,
is what is the criminal offense.
That to me, why this is just so crazy. And so we're gonna keep following it. We'll keep talking about it as well. I do got to talk about this, y'all. During the Q&A following the performance of this dumbass Broadway slave play, a white woman was not happy. She started screaming at Jeremy Harris, the black gay playwright, and told him she is tired of the narrative that white people are racist. Lord, press play.
I don't want to hear that white people are the fucking plague. Because you're talking about black people right now. Rape, false arrest, fucking having children taken away and being told that as a single woman I'm not good enough to fucking raise them. How the fuck am I not a fucking marginalized member of this goddamn society?
We haven't said you are. I've never once said that you as a white woman are not a marginalized person, but if you heard that in my play, I don't know what to tell you. Perhaps read it or see it again.
Of course, the play is about race, sex, power, relations, trauma, and interracial relationships. It follows 3 interracial couples undergoing antebellum sexual performance therapy because the black partners no longer feel sexual attraction to their white partners. One, it's a dumbass play I'll never go see.
Yeah, the whole concept of this play is problematic in and of itself. When I was reading, just basically the theme.
Come on, master.
It's questionable.
Come on, master.
On its face, it's a problem. Black people should have a problem with it as well. But the fact that this woman in the audience internalized so much, started talking about her own personal experience, how her kids got taken away, this, that, and the other thing. She clearly went into that play with some issues.
She need a cigarette.
I blame y'all liberal people.
She need a cigarette or she need a blunt? Go ahead, Robert.
I blame y'all liberal people because y'all have convinced these other people that they get to be part of our club. Since y'all started doing this whole people of color, minorities, marginalized people.
No, nice try. Nice try.
All that stuff, that's y'all.
No, see, that's where you're wrong. That ain't liberal. That's white. No, let me be real clear. Because white conservatives, what happened with the whole issue of diversity? Oh, no, diversity of thought. Diversity of where you part of the country you're from.
Because they essentially just want to add more
white conservatives play the game. So that ain't liberal or conservative. That's white.
I bet you she voted for Hillary.
But I'm telling you, a white conservative man will stand up in a company and say, well, do we have diversity of thought? I think we need to have, that was the crap the white boys at Google said. Well, you know, we need to have diversity of thought at Google, the views of white conservatives. Man, Kelly gone.
There's not much to say.
Okay, we go to the next story then.
It's dumb. No, but seriously, it's dumb.
Well, don't,
like,
Kelly, let me help you out. You can't, Kelly, a rule of television, don't ever say on TV, ain't nothing else left to say.
There isn't, though.
That means you about to get skipped. You can't say there's nothing else left to say, and then you want to keep talking. What you gonna do?
It's dumb. That's
okay.
All
right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, folks, as the marijuana momentum continues, the folks at marijuanastock.org have already reached more than half of their funding goal for the hemp CBD investment. That's right. If you want to take advantage of this great opportunity, you need to do it now because it won't last much longer. Now, if you don't know, I'm talking about the hemp plant, the good cousin to marijuana, with a much higher concentration of CBD, which means hemp gives you all the medical benefits of marijuana without getting you high. Some of y'all like, damn, I want the high part. Also, if you don't know, hemp farming is now legal in the United States, creating one of the largest commodities worldwide. It's an investment opportunity that you could participate in, and the folks at 420 Real Estate want to help you. Their business model is real simple. They buy land that supports hemp CBD grow operations and leases it to licensed, high-paying tenants. That's right, they are hemp CBD landlords. And you can get in on the action. As hemp continues to change the economic landscape, 420 Real Estate is allowing you to chase the American dream. Now, what you can do is you can invest in their crowdfunding campaign for as little as $200. That's right, $200 up to $10,000. Now, you got to do it now before the fund closes. To invest, go to marijuanastock.org. That's marijuanastock.org. Get in the game and get in the game now. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.